Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
Right. All right, legends. Hope you're all having a beautiful day. It is Thursday, 12:48 here in South Africa. I'm sure that is Central European time. Remember to smash up that like button on your way in. There's an insane scenario that I would like to discuss today. Very chilly. This is why I have my jacket on today. It's very cold in South Africa today. It seems that winter came early. For some people it might be spring, for some it might be summer. Right, welcome here to the live stream, Mr. HB. I see you in the house. Welcome. Suhi, hello, welcome to the live stream. Okay, right, legends. What I want to discuss today is potentially a bullish case scenario that I don't think anyone is going to see coming. Okay. And I want to discuss also the probabilities of that scenario. And the reason I want to discuss that scenario is because it hasn't been invalidated. There's a couple of things that counts against the scenario, but there is potentially an insane bullish case scenario. Oh, okay. That was highlighted by one of our pro members this morning. The reason I have not spoken about that scenario, I will explain. I will explain to everyone why I have not spoken about that scenario. Music is too loud. I've just put it softer. Okay, I've just put it softer. It's just for the intro that I had the music a little bit loud. You should be able to hear me crystal clear at the moment. First wave in the making, as we discussed yesterday, Dewald. That is what we're going to analyze. First, we're going to start here on the 4-hour time frame, discuss some of the probabilities, then zoom in 1 hour, 15 minute, 5 minute. We can even go into the 1 minute time frame. Okay, but there's a chance that we are, I think, legends, the highest probable scenario that I see locally at the moment is to still go and make one more high. That is what I see over here. Right, looking at this little structure, because this structure has to form 5 waves. Okay. Hello, Dewald. Thank you for your alpha. I'm still feeling absolutely bearish. Which makes me believe that this pump may last. Yes, I think this will most probably, if this pump continues here to the upside, I think it's going to be the most hated pump from most crypto people, because it is so unexpected. It still looks bearish, right? It takes a while for people to flip bullish again, especially after this massive downtrend that we've seen here on the price of Bitcoin. Okay. I mean, we've just been falling here to the downside for months, right? This has been since we made the top over here in Jan of this year. Finally, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a relief rally here to the upside. And now the question is, well, is it a relief rally, or is this the start of something absolutely phenomenal? Okay. Right, Lucky's fifth wave to the upside or C wave? That is the question. Can be a fifth wave be in a flat in the third wave? What can be a fifth wave be flat in a third wave? Right, I'm not sure if I understand that question, but let's start with a technical analysis. And remember, legends, if you'd like to come and trade with me, okay, with all the scenarios and the potential trading setups in the education that I provide here on the stream, I've got Weeks and Bluffin down in the description. We only need an email and a password to sign up, right? You still get that 20% cash back, okay, for the money that you deposit in your features account to trade with for free, and 25% discount on your trading fees. This is where I arrange the best deals that these exchanges has to offer. All you need is an email and a password. You don't have to submit documents, and you can do some nice features trading or leverage trading. Okay, legends, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Right. What I want to discuss here at the moment is that we have obvious resistance. Price is smashing into resistance here at the moment. Okay, let's make this red. Danger, danger, Mr. Robinson, danger, right? You can see we're hitting resistance. So potentially it is time for price to cool down because nothing goes up in a straight line. Okay, if bullish's momentum is going to continue, perfectly fine. So, you know, maybe we make that one more high, we pierce the level. I would like to see us claim the liquidity above that high. Then we make a nice little deep correction. Perhaps we find support, simple resistance and support. Okay, stuff Elliott wave theory, stuff all the different scenarios. Okay, we have broken out of support. Okay, with quite significant volume. We are now rejecting at resistance. This is what you want to see. Okay, price rejects, it forms a higher low, and then it continues and it smashes this level, right? And we also have to acknowledge that you are making higher highs. So what you would like to see is, if price does come down, you want to see a higher low form over here, right? It can even be a little bit deeper, but you want to see upwards momentum. The price of Bitcoin is locally starting to change market structure. We have broken out of support. We've broken out of that trend, right, that everyone has been watching. We have closed multiple time frame candles above, and you know, yet some people are still bearish because there's a problem at the moment. As the structure stands here at the moment, there's a problem. Okay, but potentially that problem can be resolved depending on how price action is going to develop. Do you guys remember this little structure here to the upside? Okay, when price fell here aggressively to the downside, there was a problem with the structure. And we discussed it here in the live stream as well. What was the problem with the structure? It was a three-wave structure. We were all waiting for 4 and 5, and we didn't get this leg to the upside. And then when we saw this, I was like, damn, right? You now increase the probabilities of claiming this low. And we aggressively fell to the downside, claimed the low. Okay. And now that is exactly the same problem with the structure that we find ourselves in now. This is still a three-wave structure. It's a zigzag. It's a lightning bolt. Okay, we need another 4 and 5. We need a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need this leg to the upside in order to confirm bullish continuation. Unless, there's an unless, legends. Remember to smash up the like button. I want to share the alpha over here. This was a scenario that was highlighted by one of our pro member community members this morning. Okay, and it makes you think, what if everyone sees this as a three-wave structure and it does this and it just blasts here to the upside? What then? What on earth happened? Why? How is it even possible for that to happen? Right, I want to take you guys to our Legends Pro community and just show you one of the scenarios that one of our pro members highlighted this morning. And here we go, right? He asked Dewald, is this scenario at all possible? And I looked at the scenarios like, yes, I did think about the scenario, but I just thought it had such low probability. But now that you've drawn it out, it made me think, what if the scenario plays out and it surprises everyone off guard? This is an insane bullish case scenario that could take us to $120,000 easily okay, making people believe that this is a three-wave structure. We fall down, but we actually form a double 1-2. Right? You go up for an explosive third wave, 4, 5. And then now you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to draw it out on the chart and explain it to everyone. So I want to give a shout out here to Mr. Master or Master Beta. Hey, Dewald, is this valid? Right, we discussed it here in the pro community member, in the community. And right, I want to discuss the scenario and also share with you potential issues with the scenario. Okay, and how and when it will get invalidated. So, legends, you know, I've often spoken about bearish case scenarios because there's still a bearish case scenario, and I will take you guys through that as well. But I love these what-if scenarios that no one else is thinking about because I haven't seen anyone talk about this scenario just as yet. Okay, and usually when, you know, people start talking about a specific scenario, then you know, all of a sudden it starts becoming mainstream. So, legends, this little scenario, okay, let's take the resistance out the way, and I will go and analyze the local price action in a moment, okay? But let's entertain this insane bullish case scenario. Is that, what if this is a 1, this is a 2, and now we are forming another 1 and a 2. And then, okay, I need to draw this out differently. Sorry, legends, I need to do this. Let me think. 2, okay, 3, 4, 5. Right, let me do this. Let us call this primary. Okay, so Elliott wave theory takes some time to put together. So let's make this green because this is absolutely insane. Okay, very, very bullish. Then I take a lower degree and we go, okay, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is now the scenario, legends. So let me color code it so it makes sense to everyone and everyone can follow. Let's make this a different color and we call this the minor. Right, legends, there is your most bullish case scenario, which I think is going to confuse a lot of traders if it had to play out. And why will it confuse a lot of traders? Because at the moment, the structure looks like a three-wave structure. At the moment, it looks like a three-wave structure. And everyone is still expecting a bigger 4 and a 5 to the upside, and then the retracement obviously becomes interesting. So this scenario is still valid, where you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, and then off to the races you go. That is an easy scenario. That is a scenario that most Elliott wave counters, even when they start studying Elliott wave theory, are familiar with. The double 1-2s and the triple 1-2s are not so easy, and it's strange to people that haven't started studying Elliott wave theory just as yet, because they look like three-wave structures and they turn out to be extremely bullish to the upside. So the rules for this scenario is ideally, okay, you don't really want the second 1-2 to be larger than this 1-2. It's not an invalidation, but Elliott wave theory speaks about proportion of waves as well. Usually when you start a 1-2, 1-2, usually preferably that little 1-2 over there needs to be smaller than this 1-2 over here. Okay, so if I take a trend-based fib from the low to the high to the low of this little structure, you can see for the moment, for now, this little momentum here to the, sorry guys, this actually needs to be from there, right? For the moment, this momentum here to the upside is not longer. It's still at the 786. This is where it's currently getting the rejection from. At the 786. Okay, I just want to make sure. I think I'm in logarithmic. Let me just put myself back here in normal scale. Okay, there we go. Right, so ideally you don't want to tap the 1-to-1 extension, but it's still, legends, I have seen double 1-2 combos, even triple 1-2 combos, where the waves are slightly bigger, but you don't want this wave to just explode here to the upside. It will significantly reduce the probability for the scenario to play out. Okay, so that is how I am now looking at the structures to see that, well, for the moment, this 1-2, this one, okay, is shorter than this one. So now you have a potential 1-2, One, and now you want to see a rejection that does not surpass the 786. So if price, even if it makes one more high, it's perfectly fine. And I do think that there's a high chance for one more high inside of the local structure, where one will then just simply move over there. And then you want a retracement that does not go deeper than the 786. Okay, maximum target needs to be the 786. Okay, you take your fib from the low. This is now the high that we have at the moment. But let's say we're going to make one more high there to the upside, right? You want the retracement to be inside, preferably the 50% to the 786 over here. Okay, that is where it needs to bounce. So let's say you make one more high, we fall here in a three-wave structure to the downside. The corrective structure is going to be very important. It should not be 5 waves to the downside. Okay, that's going to change the scenario completely. So there's still a lot that needs to happen for us to verify whether the scenario is going to start carrying higher probability. Okay, maximum target needs to be around $86,650. Okay, because and there's now already okay, I will go through the problem at the moment. Okay, so this is the maximum retracement that you would like to see, and then, ladies and gentlemen, you're going up to make an explosive wave to the upside. I think that no one is going to see coming. Okay, because 112s are extremely bullish structures. They look at the moment, it looks like a three-wave structure. You fall to the downside and people are like, oh crap, we retraced too deep for a fifth wave. We tapped the 0.618, we invalidated the fourth wave to the downside, and then it turns out to be a 112. Okay, it finds support at 86,600, and then it finds support above these highs. Can you see that 786 aligns perfectly with these highs from a support perspective? Okay, but it can bounce a little bit higher, 618, 50% ideally. Right, and then you rock and roll here to the upside in an explosive third wave, of which what's forming right here, is now the first wave inside of your third wave, and your fifth wave inside of your bigger third wave. I hope that makes sense. Okay, this is why I'm drawing it out so everyone can follow. So basically, guys, simplistically put, okay, all a 112 basically is that your first wave inside of your third wave is clearly visible. That is what we refer to as a 112. Usually when you see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first wave is so small that you can sometimes hardly even see it. But in a 112, all it basically means is that your first wave inside of your third wave is big, it's measurable, and you can trade it. And, you know, it's not a small little move to the downside. And that basically is all what it is. It's your first leg inside of your third wave that is now clearly visible in a larger structure. Okay. Right, and then, you know, it's too early to speculate on some targets here to the upside, but I just wanted to share with everyone. Well, you guys call me bearish. You know, some of the messages that I get, Dewald, you're always just looking at the bearish case scenarios. Well, here you go. Here is potentially a bullish case scenario, which I think no one is expecting. I have not seen anyone talk about the scenario just as yet until Mr. Bait Master highlighted it inside of our Legends Pro community. So very interesting scenario to keep in mind, but I'm not saying that the scenario is definitely going to play out. Okay, there's still a lot that needs to happen. I want to see one more wave to the upside. That's a tick for me. Why do I want one more wave to the upside? Well, if I just clean up the chart over here, okay, and I zoom into this structure on the 4-hour time frame, if you look at this structure, okay, something very interesting that I've been taught in Elliott wave theory is to say that if you're struggling to count the waves inside of a structure, most people, 99.9% of people, zoom into the smaller time frames to go and count the waves. No, you need to zoom out. Okay, when you zoom out, then you can see that you can clearly see that there's a pump or a pulse to the upside. You can see here is a pulse to the upside. Here is a correction. Here's a pulse to the upside, and here's a correction. So there's only 3 waves so far inside of the structure. 1, 2, 3. 4, you need another wave inside of your first wave. You need 5 waves. Okay? You need 5 waves. Right? And at the moment, I can only on the larger time frame see 1, 2, 3. You still need 4, you still need 5. Okay? 4 could potentially be completed already. Maybe it's going to fall a little bit still to the downside. But in a double 1, 2, okay, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can count 5 waves. Now we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need one more high. Okay, that's the first thing that needs to happen. We need one more high. Excuse me. Then we need a lazy 3-wave structure here to the downside that's going to find support maximum at that $6,000 area. $86,600 area, right? 786. You need a 3-wave structure that's going to take you to this target. And then once we get here or a little bit higher, I'm going to say, whoa, now this starts looking very, very, very interesting. Okay, so legends, I cannot really invalidate the scenario by the scenario is valid. There's nothing for me to invalidate the scenario. The only thing that really counts against the scenario, but it's what we've been talking about. Whether this is a double 1, 2 forming here, whether this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forming here, okay, we are all still waiting for that 5th wave to the upside. And the problem with a bullish structure to the upside is how shallow the wave 2 went. So this does not only impact the probabilities for this insane bullish structure, but it also impacts the probabilities for any bullish structure from the lows that we've made. Okay, from the lows, this retracement is very shallow. If you take a fib from the low to the high of the structure, we have only retraced to the 2.36. It is a very, very rare second wave target. Never preferred unless all other scenarios fail, but it's not an invalidation. I have seen second waves retrace to the 2.36, most probably twice. That's how rare they are. Out of 100 or 200 trades in Elliott wave theory that I've taken, I've seen this happen twice. That's how rare it is. So it's never an invalidation. I just want to explain to everyone how rare is it. And typically it does happen when you're bouncing from lows, from the lowest point of the structure. That is where I've seen it happen. So there's a chance, right? There's a chance. But I have explained, this is why we need to be patient. This is why we need to see how the structure is going to unfold in order to put probabilities on this. Also, what I will be looking at is that in a double 1, 2, I'm specifically now talking about the most bullish case structure over here. You ideally want to see a similar correction in time, okay? Because you want them to be the same. You want them to be as the same as possible, almost like a mirror image. So you want the corrective structure to also take a little bit of time, and not just you make the 5th wave, you fall. Okay, now you can see it looks off. You have a 1, 2, and you have a 1, 2. Okay, it's just about the look and feel of the structure as well. Right, legends. So for now, okay, let's take the scenario out the way. And let me talk about the bearish case scenario here on the larger time frame. Okay, this is the scenario that most of us are keeping an eye on right now, is this one. For now, it looks like a 3-wave structure. The probabilities, unfortunately, are higher that this is a 3-wave structure because B waves like the 2.36. For a B wave, it is almost normal to tap a shallow retracement like that, but not for a second wave. Inside of your C wave, you also still need to see 5 waves. So I'm still expecting one more leg to the upside to go and complete the C wave. Now you guys can see it is the retracement that is going to be the deciding factor. Okay, because either you are going to retrace deep to form the double 1, 2. Either it's going to be a deep retracement that's going to form the 1, 2, 1, 2, or you're going to get one more high here to the upside to complete your C wave. Okay, And now the question is, this could also be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The normal impulsive structure that most people know, right? Everyone is waiting for this fall. Okay, so I'm still expecting inside of this structure, we need one more high to complete the C wave and the third wave and the first wave for the triple one or the double 1-2 combo. So can you guys see how important it is for us to still get one more leg here to the upside, right? If we then have a retracement and this wave, the fourth wave, okay, let me take this Fibonacci out the way. Right, so when we fall down here and we start finding support, okay, from the from the low to the wherever that high is going to be, the fourth wave finds support at the 236 and the 50% Fibonacci, right? Then there's a chance that you're going to make one more high, because then it's just a normal impulsive structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we got what we wanted. At least we got a 5-wave structure. Okay, but there's a chance is if the fourth wave falls deeper, remember the invalidation for the fourth wave is the 0.618. So all it's going to do, it's going to invalidate this fifth wave. But you could be dealing with a much bullish or much more bullish structure where it becomes a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you go up for a third wave. Okay, so you guys can see it's never easy, right? Never easy in trading at the end of the day. But it's about having the invalidations. I can tell you guys now, you know, if price has to fall here to the downside after we've made one more high, I know exactly the levels that I am going to be keeping an eye on. I'm going to play some SFPs. I'm definitely going to be looking for longs here to the upside, okay? And I will definitely, you know, if I had to play along over here and you start hitting resistance, I will definitely pay myself, because that is what I preach here on the channel. Please, if you're longing support, take profits at resistance. But the only difference is, instead of leaving 5 or 10% of my position open, I might leave 30 to 40% of my position open, knowing that at any moment we can get an explosion back to the upside. So it slightly changes my trading strategy in terms of how much I leave open for higher levels. And it's perfectly fine. If it rejects and it falls down, at least I did take 60% profits or 50% profits. But at some point, I know that it could do that, right? Until you invalidate the scenario where you claim the lows. Once you claim the lows, then I'm going to say, okay, right now we're going to start looking for shorts, and I'm going to be taking more aggressive profits with the longs that I take to the upside, but I need to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt. It is a very rare structure that is playing out here, especially if it is going to turn out to be bullish. It's a very rare structure because of the retracement that's been so shallow, okay? And also the corrective structure that's formed to the downside. I see a lot of Elliott wave traders are talking about this corrective structure here to the downside, where they're basically saying this, based on the structure, this cannot be the last low. It needs one more low before we can continue a bull market to the upside. So yes, okay, I'm just trying to say and play out over here, well, what if we don't get that one more low? What if the structure turns out to be bullish, okay? And it's, again, one of those structures like, okay, now for the third time in my trading career, I've seen a structure like this play out. Okay, so we just need to be open-minded. And I'm going to adjust my trading strategy according to it in terms of how much profits I take when I start hitting resistance to the upside if I am in a long position. Okay, but I can tell you guys now, I'm not going to just blindly enter with my entire portfolio over here and just hope for the best, right? That's not how I trade. Okay, cool, legends. Let me go through some comments, and then I'm going to go into the smaller time frames. Okay, right. Hello, Dewald Thomas. Welcome to the live stream. I hope you've smashed up that like button. I'm sure you have. Grab and chill. The retracement here might be massive. Right from where we are right now. Okay, yeah, and that is what I want to discuss in the smaller time frame. That is exactly what I want to discuss now in the smaller time frame. Hey, Dewald, what is it with the liquidity at 82? Liquidity at $82,000. Let's go open up the liquidity heat map over here. Let's go on to model 2. While that loads up, let me put my face on the other side, because I do know that people can't see the liquidity heat map pretty. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna have to zoom out. I think 1 week chart. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of liquidity even at $86,000, right below these lows. There's a lot of liquidity even at $86,000, and then a little bit further down at $83,700, we have a massive liquidity pool. Let's zoom out a little bit more and just wait for that to load up. Whew. Right. Okay, now I'm with you. Yeah, around about the $83,000 zone, there's a lot of liquidity. But I can tell you guys now, if we do grab this liquidity, it will invalidate every single bullish structure that we've spoken about. It's gone. It's out the window. This little low over here, let me show everyone. This little low over here is the invalidation for any chance to the upside. Okay, so we are speculating, well, what if we get bullish structures here to the upside? Wait, let me just make sure. Yes. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. This low needs to hold. If the bulls have any chance for more momentum to the upside without coming to claim the lows at $74,000, right, even a little bit lower, I think it's down here somewhere. This low needs to hold, because that low over here will invalidate any bullish scenario that we are potentially looking at. And then it's most likely an ABC. So if the structure, okay, let's play this out here quickly. Let me put my face back. If the structure makes one more high, okay, to complete the C wave, it needs one more high to complete the C wave. But there is, I mean, there's an ugly way to count it on the smaller time frames. I'll go through that now. There's a chance that the high could be in. But I think from a probabilities perspective, I would like to see one more high over here, and you complete the C wave. Well, then there's a chance you're going to come and claim this pivot and invalidate every single bullish structure that we're keeping an eye on. Okay, then this was an ABC, and you can now form again an ABC to the downside. Three wave, back down to the down, where you come and claim the lows again. Most Elliott wave technical traders, well, let me say, half of the Elliott wave technical traders that I am following are expecting this move. Some of them are on the fence, saying that, well, I think, what if this turns out to be bullish, right? But you need to see that leg. You need to see a bigger 4-5 to the upside to turn this into a 5-wave structure. Right, legends. Now let's zoom into the smaller time frame. I want to focus here quickly on 15 minutes. Let's go and look at this local structure. Okay, let me go through some more comments. Okay. Dewald, what about the ultra bullish possibility that we go up to 400k? Where's it at? Thanks, bro. Bruno, the most insane bullish case scenario that we go up to $400,000, okay, is potentially that 112 that I've just spoken about. But you could still go and hit that target even if you claim the lows at $74,000. Okay. Right, so I need to go back into the larger time frames to go and discuss those scenarios. I have them all mapped out. There is an insane bullish case scenario that I do have inside of my folders that can even take Bitcoin to $500,000. I don't really particularly want to talk about that scenario right now because at the moment it doesn't carry high probability, but it has not been invalidated. Okay, so maybe tomorrow, to end off the week, I will show and I will share that probability with everyone, but it's not dependent on this structure. It's not dependent on this structure. Okay, it could form from this structure where you're now going to form a 1 2 1 2 and you're going to rock and roll to the upside. It could form from the structure, but you could also still take the low, and that structure for 500k Bitcoin, yes, I know it sounds insane, could still play out. Okay, so that insane structure, all I want to highlight, is not dependent on this structure. Okay, right, legends. Anything else? Damn, 73k would be so great, Jeffrey. Yes, and you know what? That's what. I don't know if scare is the right word, because I see a lot of people commenting on other people's YouTube live streams as well, saying that 73 sounds delicious, 72 sounds delicious. If only we can go back to those levels. And when people start reminiscing about those type of numbers, it makes me think that we might not get there again. Okay, when you start dreaming about the lower numbers, maybe we are going to form a bullish structure here to the upside, right? Where most people were too scared to buy over here. Most people were even too scared to buy over here, right? It's only when this pump happened to the upside where people started switching bullish. It's only when we made this pump where the fear and greed index jumped from neutral into greed in a matter of 24 hours. Okay, this was the structure that made everyone bullish. Most people will still too scared to buy inside of this zone. Okay, right, let me just make sure that I've gone through most. Mr. Mark Dutch, welcome here to the live stream. Always great to see Mr. Mark Dutch here. So, Mark Dutch has been supporting this channel since I started up, and I'm sure a lot of you here as well. And there's only one important thing, Mark. I hope you have hit and smashed up that like button. Dewald, what if your second wave was a fourth wave? And now our extended fifth wave. My second wave was a fifth wave. Wait. What if your second wave was a fourth wave? Right, I'm not sure. I wish, if YouTube can implement pictures, that would make my life so much simpler. Where people can just say, Dewald, what if it's this, right? You post your picture and I can look at it and be like, yeah, maybe not, whatever the case might be. What I would appreciate, because I'm a picture person, I learn through visuals as well. You can't give me a textbook. You'll get nothing right with me. Give me a YouTube, give me a podcast that I can listen to. Give me a video, right? That's how I absorb information. That is my strength, a picture person, right? But what you can do is you can join our Legends community. There's a free section as well, okay? And there's a basic chat section. We have a Bitcoin section in there as well, okay? This is where you can post your pictures and say, Dewald, I've just posted an update. I've tagged you, so I get a notification. I get that little bell or that little red notification, and I will look at your chart here on the stream. So at least I'm able to see what you are trying to show me, because often, I jump from one topic to another topic and to another topic, and when people ask me a question about a specific topic, I don't know which one you're referring to, because there's so many scenarios. Okay. Right. But what I can guess, who asked this question? Ronald. I think you are talking about this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you are talking about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you talking about this? Okay. It has to be said. Okay. That from a timing perspective, I have looked at this scenario. From a timing perspective, okay, let's look at the timing. Okay, from the end to the end and there. From a timing perspective, your fourth wave is 5 times longer than your second wave. So time is never an invalidation, but it significantly impacts the probabilities. Okay, so yes, there is a scenario where this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then I still expect one more leg here to the upside, because I can only see 3 waves inside of the structure. So I still expect one more leg here to the upside, then a deeper correction that can even come and eat up all of these lows. Yes, so that is a scenario. I have seen this scenario from other Elliott wave counters as well. I don't particularly like it because of how long the fourth wave is. Okay, it's very long, very shallow, and also the retracement has also been the same problem, a very shallow retracement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I just want to see, but because now it becomes a contracting diagonal, I just want to see if it didn't invalidate itself over here. Okay, let's take the time flip out the way. Okay, let's see if this structure did not invalidate itself, right? Because that is basically what you're looking at. Okay, so it's still contracting, but I think what concerns me a little bit over here is number 2 to 3. Okay, did tap the 50%, so it didn't. I mean, if it tapped here the 618, I would have said, okay, right, still reducing the probabilities. It's not my favorite structure. It does not carry the highest probability, but I see what you mean. I can see that some people are counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, an extended fifth wave. Extended fifth wave structures to the upside is already a very rare scenario. Okay, but it's not an invalidation. I like to look at scenarios that are more common, that has more probabilities on their side. Right, so yes, to paint this out, well, if this is the end of 5, you expect an ABC to the downside, and when you take a fib from the low to the high, maximum target needs to be the 786. Okay, I just have a feeling in my bones. If you're gonna fall down here and claim this low, I don't think it's gonna look good. Right, this structure, it doesn't look right. It looks out of balance. Okay, because Elliott wave theory also goes into a lot of detail. For those of you that studied Elliott wave theory, it goes in a lot of detail about the look and feel of the structure, and the structure looks out of balance. Okay, so it's not invalidated, but it does not look sexy at all. Okay, I just don't want to do a trend-based fib from this high. Right, almost tapped as the 1.618 there on top for the third wave. Okay, yeah, it hasn't been invalidated. I'm trying to find invalidations. The biggest problem that I see over here is how long the fourth wave is compared to the second wave, and also how shallow the retracement has been. And then thirdly, the look and feel of the structure feels out of whack. Okay, it actually looks better. And you might not want to hear this. The structure actually looks better as I played around with this structure this morning. 1 hour WXY. Here we go. This actually has higher probabilities than the structure I've just discussed. What if, okay, this is another scenario that I'm looking at. What if this is an AB? Okay, what if this is an ABC? That makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a contracting diagonal, okay, to form a W. ABC in a W, okay, you have a complex corrective structure in X. Very normal for X to have a complex corrective structure that is almost impossible to count. That's what we got. And what if this is another A, which is a 5 wave, B, C to the upside? We reject and we go and we claim the lows. It's another scenario that I'm looking at. Anyways, I don't want to discuss this scenario today, but now you know, I'm also looking at other scenarios as well. But legends, it's not about, you know, I can have 20 different scenarios here, 10 different bearish scenarios and 10 different bullish case scenarios. It's about having your levels marked out for each scenario and checking the price reaction at that level. Okay, so let's take this out the way. Let me go back here onto, let's see if I can fit this into the 5-minute time frame. Yes. Right, legends, remember to smash up that like button for the alpha, for the education over here. I appreciate you guys sharing the heart emojis flowing in over here. Yesterday when I considered that the top was already in last December and we are now in a bear market correction, the upside would be that we are already 5 months into bear and new bull can start soon. Silver light, if we are in a bear market, guys, sorry, I'm jumping around based on the comments, but I mean, this live stream is about you at the end of the day. So I appreciate all the comments and the theories that you are thinking about, okay? I want to dive into the smaller time frames, but you guys are asking really interesting questions, okay? If you are saying that the bear market is almost finished, I have to disagree. If we are in a bear market, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? If you take a time fib from where the bull market started to where it ended, okay, it's not time. If we are in a bear market, you have to make your low after the 0.382. Okay, it's so sorry. I'm not trying to diss you in any way. This corrective structure makes sense that it's correcting this impulse. That makes sense. But to say that we have gone into a bear market from the all-time high, you need a longer corrective structure to at least come and tap the 0.382, which is at 23 November. Okay, ideally you want the 0.618 extension, which is next year, 31st of May. So it needs to still continue. This can't be the lows, right? So you need an A, B, C, okay, to at least finish here after the 0.382. Okay. Dewald will be on the Forbes magazine when AR hits his all-time high. Yes, Satoshi. I have a bit, yeah, I mean, if AR is going to hit the lows, I'm going to be very disappointed, but I do have an exit strategy. I have a large bag of AR. I really believe in the project, but also from a technical perspective, it's still holding its bullish structure. Right, so just quickly wanted to take that out the way. So I guess the only thing that I was trying to address here is that we can't be finished. If this is the top, we can't be finished with the bear market. It has to still continue. And it can even continue until you hit the 1-to-1 extension. So to put it into perspective, let's look at the previous bull market quickly. Okay, so, is this where it started? Right, so you take a time fib from the start, ding, to the end. Okay, where did the bear market end? From this point that we've created and fell down here, the bear market ended at the 0.618. So if history is going to repeat itself and we get a 13-month bear market, you're looking at next year May for the bear market to come to an end. Okay. Right, and I mean that's going to obviously invalidate the 4-year model. Okay, which I have spoken about yesterday during my live stream. Now, legends, let's get back here onto the 5-minute time frame. Okay, let's get back here into this little structure. So for now, some scalping, some trading opportunities that I'm watching today, okay, because I'm a day trader. I want to get into a trade today. I'm already in a trade for today. I might get stopped out. I already took some profits, but I want to share with everyone, well, okay, let me see if I have it. Do I have it saved? Okay, right. Let's just do it fresh over here. You have 1, 2, maybe this is 3, and now it's busy with a 4th wave, and we're going to make a 5th wave to the upside. Okay, just from a simplicity perspective. And the 4th wave is either done or it can still continue. Maximum target for your 4th wave is you take your Fibonacci from number 2 to the high, okay, and we have now already tapped the 0.382. Okay, maximum target is the 50% Fibonacci. Right, so this is, ladies and gentlemen, where I opened my long together with some pro community members, because I also counted this corrective structure in some details. We had some levels, but I mean, from a simplicity perspective, when you take your fib from the low to the high of the structure, you have tapped the 0.382, nice little SFP, and your position should already be protected. And invalidation for the 4th wave is the 0.618. So there's a chance, as long as price can find support in this zone, okay, that it's going to find upwards momentum and take the highs again. And I'm looking at around $97,000 for this 5th wave to come to an end. Okay, then you can clearly see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Third waves has the most amount of volume, which it does. Okay, and now you have a complex corrective structure here in a fourth wave. Fourth wave corrective structures are very complex. One tip that I can give you guys is that second wave corrective structures are usually fast and deep. Usually they are fast and deep. Look at this, A, B, C. Very quick, you know, it's a beautiful three-wave structure. Sometimes they even go a little bit deeper. But generally speaking, 6, 7 out of 10 times, your first wave and your second wave usually has a deep, quick corrective structure. It's usually quick, over quickly, okay? Where once you've made the third wave, your fourth wave corrective structures are very complex, slow, overlapping, choppy. Okay, that usually gives you the clue. Okay, now we're busy with the fourth wave corrective structure. Very confusing, very slow, difficult to trade. It doesn't give you nice little volatility. Okay, and then you expect one more leg to the upside, and this is where you start looking for shorts. Okay, because this structure now needs to correct itself. It's either going to make a higher low, or if this is a C wave to the upside or an A wave to the upside, okay, there's a chance that it could even come and claim this low over here, right? But I mean, it's still an epic short, okay? Still a nice little epic short here to the downside. Right. More locally, okay, I wanted to see, okay, so there's a couple of ways. I think you can also take a trend-based fib, because there was a way in which I counted the structure as a local WXY. Okay, so for everyone, how did we get into that trade without the 0.382? This was the structure that I was sharing. This was the structure that I shared with the Legends Pro community this morning. Okay, yeah, inside of my section. Right, this is what I shared this morning. Okay, Legends. If this is the end of the impulse, I'm looking at an A, B, C, and a W, okay? Complex corrective structure in the X, and this could be an A, B, C forming in your Y wave, and it's going to tap the 1-to-1 extension. This is where I'm looking for my first long. If we don't bounce here, the second level is the 1.236. And this is exactly now where we got the bounce, right? So if I just take this little thing out the way, okay, this is exactly what happened, right? We tapped the 1-to-1 extension and bounced to perfection, to the dollar. And I saw some of the pro members actually jumped into this trade. So your position should already be protected, and you should already start taking profits here to the upside. I just want to see where's the VWAP. VWAP is always a TP1. We hit the VWAP. Okay, this is what I teach the community, okay, is that if you have a beautiful entry like this, you know, you can't just expect that price is definitely going to do that. There's a chance, so you leave some of the position open. Always a chance, okay? But TP1 always has to be the VWAP and that little pivot for me. We didn't hit that pivot, but we hit the VWAP, which is a TP1 area. Right, then there's another way to jump into the trade, because we as technical traders, we have a plan B, and the plan B was the trend. Wait for the break of the trend. Right. If you did not get into this long, we successfully break out over here. Maybe there's a beautiful retest. Okay, it would be nice if it builds another little bull flaggy over there. Often, this plays out often, guys. It breaks out. It consolidates against the trends. It does not get acceptance back below. And then that is the little breakout that I play, okay, to come and claim the high, because we're still expecting that one more leg to the upside. So very curious, if you did not get into this trade, there's another opportunity. You just have to be patient. Please don't FOMO into this trade, because it can reject before it breaks out and fall down to the next level. Okay, and hopefully you catch this one here to the downside. Right, I just want to see something else over here. If I close this scenario, okay, so the trend is always my safety net, my front running area. Okay, I always rely on my trend, that whatever happens over here, if it becomes too complex and I cannot make sense of it, I just wait for the break of the trend. Wait for volume to kick in. Maybe you play the retest, enter with good risk management. I mean, from a risk to reward perspective, it still makes sense that if you do break out over here, Okay, if you do break out from a risk to reward perspective, this is the first thing that I look at. If I had to play this breakout and I'm going to take profits at the highs and my stop loss has to go below the lows, does the risk to reward make sense? Is it worth still trading this scenario over here? And the answer is, for me, yes, because it's still more than 2 risk to reward. Okay, so for me, it's still a worthy trade of taking here to the upside. Right, but I got in a little bit late. Okay, I have to be honest. I got in a little bit late. I got in over here with my stop loss below the low, but now my position is protected, and I also took profits there by the VWAP. And right, but now and the reason we took profits and the reason our positions are protected, because I realized that this corrective structure can still continue. It can reject by the trend and fall down. Bam, it can fall down, right? At least we took profits over here. And right, so now I think it also becomes very interesting when you zoom out a little bit. If I go here onto the 1 hour time frame, this is now where it also becomes very interesting. If I look at the structure from a larger time frame perspective. Okay, I want to see if I do have this. Yeah, this is what I basically came up with. I just want to take the FIB out the way. Right. Okay, so you basically, you know, legends, I like to not zoom in. I like to zoom out for the structure to make sense. And when I zoom out, the structure actually looks cleaner. It looks a little bit better. You can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 1. A, B, C, 2. Then you have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete your third wave. And this is now all part of a corrective structure. So you could also measure your corrective structure. You take your trend-based FIB from the high, from the high to the low to the high, right? And then there's also some interesting targets. And even with this FIB extension that I've used, you can see that you got supported at the 786. So if price gets rejected over here, the next area is the 1-to-1 extension, the 1.236, and that also aligns perfectly. If I take a Fibonacci, let me just clean up the scribble. Okay, if I take a FIB from number 2 to the high of to the high of number 3, you can now also see that the 1-to-1 extension lines up with the 0.382. The 1.236 lines up with the 50% Fibonacci. Okay, this is fourth wave territory. So there's a chance that it breaks out, and this is why I have the trend, but there's also a chance that it maybe finds resistance. It looks like it's breaking out, it turns around, and it finds support in the most common area for a fourth wave. Right, and then you go up for a fifth wave here to the upside. Areas of resistance and support. I also got asked a question. Guys, I get asked many questions every single day, right? Personal DMs, people WhatsApping me, sending me telegrams. Just want to take that trend out the way. Okay, messages on my YouTube channel after the fact. Right, how far can the fifth wave go? So if you successfully enter a trade, yeah, okay, where are you supposed to take profits? The first profit taking area is always the high. It doesn't matter if the fifth wave is going to extend. This has to always be TP1. Must be TP1, because you get very shallow fifth waves. It claims the highs and it falls down. That is a valid fifth wave as long as it claims number 3. Okay. Then there are some targets, but I need the fourth wave to be in order to calculate that target. Okay, using one of the methods is you take it from the top of the structure to wherever the low is, and this is now the low that we have now. You drag your fib across, you reverse it, and then this is your most common fifth wave targets. Right, and it can extend up until this 1.618, but most commonly it rejects. Also where B flat ironically rejects. Okay, so if you want to be on the safe side, if you want to almost guarantee that you are going to scoop up most of the profits, if we do get a fifth wave to the upside, you know, you could you could say, okay, well, This is where I'm going to close my position. Done. I'm in, I'm out. Okay, $96,163. Right, you can get a fifth wave that extends to the 1.618. It can even go to the 2 extension over here. But now you're starting to talk about structures that are a little bit more rare. Okay, so if you if you want to play the high probability game, rather, I always say I like to get out before the police comes. Okay, you might get these levels and maximize your profits, right? But for me, taking profits at the high is already a big win for me. To have a massive trade like this here to the upside is already a big win. Closing your position there, I call it a day, right? Then I start looking for shorts. From a Confluence perspective, if I switch on my point of controls, okay, we have some naked point of controls to the upside as well. We have a naked point of control slightly above the high. Okay, and then we have another naked point of control a little bit higher up, and it's in confluence with this box over here for a fifth wave to reject. Yes, guys, you can get an extended fifth wave here to the upside, but that is not what I'm about. I'm about getting into a successful trade and taking profits and having a win. Okay, I don't, maybe leave 5% of the position or 10% of the position open if you think and you believe the price is just going to go to $100,000 from here, by all means. Okay. Also, interestingly, if I clean up the chart over here, okay, we have our box there for our number 5. Let's do this. Let's drag number 5. And put number 5 there in its boxy. It's going to be interesting to see how the structure plays out. Okay, and you now go and measure from a fib extension perspective. From the low to the high to this low. We reverse it back up. Okay. Also, at that red box, you also have this 1-to-1 extension. Very important fib target. Very important. Right, so you guys can see there's confluence upstairs. Okay, there's lots of confluence upstairs. Right, so please don't be that person that longs like a crazy maniac. Price gets here and greed starts kicking in. Because, we've all seen it. It's going to go. I caught this one. Ooh, it's going to rock and roll, right? And you think it's going to go, and it doesn't. It rejects and it falls back down, right? We're just looking for those intraday trading scenarios over here. So, legends, now it has to be said, okay? I have now discussed the trading scenarios over here, the levels of confluence that I'm watching. For me, the highest probable scenario is to create a 4 and another leg to the upside. Okay, now I have to also just throw a spanner in the works because I know nothing's ever guaranteed here on the price of Bitcoin. What if? Okay, what if 3 is done, 4 is done, and we've already completed 5? Okay, we have to play those damn what if scenarios with ourselves, right? What if price just falls here to the downside? Well, I can tell you guys now, I'm still looking to play along at this level. Okay. Do you see the 1.618? Okay, I'm still going to play along there. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with profit taking, but also when I take a fib from the low to the high of the structure, you have perfect alignment. Okay, you have perfect alignment here with a 50% Fibonacci 1.618. Right, you have 2.618 in perfect alignment. So there's still longing opportunities to the upside. It has to be said that, if the structure falls deeper here to the downside, you can still get those nice bounces. It hits resistance and then it continues. I can still play longs. Okay, maybe it continues momentum here to the downside. It bounces again. So I can still play longs and shorts when it starts hitting resistance back to the upside. This scenario for me doesn't carry high probability because of how short, look at how short this fourth wave is compared to the second wave over here. It is extremely short. It just looks out of whack. Okay. I wouldn't even know how to count the structure on the smaller time frames to fit 5 waves inside of this third wave. But I have to play those what if scenarios. It's just, you know, I still have, even if the fourth wave gets invalidated, I still have longing opportunities to the downside. Okay, right, legends, let me go through some more comments, and maybe before I dive into the comments, remember the links, guys. If you'd like to come and trade with me and support the channel, okay, links are always down in the description. I've got Weeks. If you don't like Weeks, I've got Bluffin. All you need is an email and a password. Your way to support the channel, okay, your ways to get 25% discount on your trading fees. Cost you nothing extra, nothing. You're not paying extra by using my links down in the description. In fact, you are saving money. And you also qualify for future exclusive. You know, when we do an exclusive trading competition, well, you will only be able to participate in those competitions by using the links down in the description. Right, and Bluffin here as well. The more you trade, the more money gets airdropped into your account, okay? So, and yes, the link for the pro community. So also, guys, if you'd like to share a chart with me and you would like me to talk about it here on the live stream, go and join the Legends community. There is a free section where you don't have to pay a subscription per month. And here on the live stream, you can say, Dewald, I've just painted out the scenario. Can we look at it? And then I have a screenshot to look at. Okay, that would be awesome. Let's go through some comments. Okay. Oh, legends, I just have to stress, okay, let's put this back. The highest probable scenario, let's just put it back the way it is meant to be. There's a chance that your fourth wave is done. But if we go down lower, it needs to reject, or it needs to find support in this box. Okay, and this is why I have the front running line over here. Because this could also be an A, B, C. And it's now starting to find its feet, and it's going to build a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. You know, it's going to find some upwards movement, or it's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done, right? And we're going to start correcting. So also interesting, guys, to look for shorts. If you miss all of this to the upside, okay, for most people it's easier to long than to short for some reason. But if you do miss all of the action here, right, and we do go and smash that high, there's shorting opportunities, because profit taking areas provide shorting opportunities. Why else would you take profits? You're taking profits because it's an area where price can reject. So this to me becomes an epic shorting opportunity. 1-to-1 extension, okay, fifth wave targets, you see the choppiness, you play those SFPs, double top, triple tops, doesn't matter, right? Kind of like what happened here. You swing failure at the high the first time, you got downwards momentum. You swing failure at the high again, and now you fell here to the downside. So I will be paying attention to triple tops and double tops when we hit the zone over here. For shorts, back to the downside. Hey Dewald, if you look at all previous weekends and see the price action and give us your opinion on that based on your analysis. Previous weekends, I do know that stats has been released. I don't know who released the stats, but I saw it somewhere a couple of weeks ago that 79% of price action on weekends, okay, is ranging structures, boring structures. Okay, we had a couple of weekends where we had some nice volatility, but mostly you get this on weekends. Mostly you get boring price action, very sideways, difficult to trade, 1% to the upside, 5%, 0.5% to the downside. So, and then there's, you know, that the smaller probability where you get a little bit of volatility. So I'm not sure which aspect you are wanting me to analyze. What I do know is, based on the 79% probability, Fridays versus Saturdays, what I have seen is usually tomorrow, okay, tomorrow is not a public holiday, okay, last week I confused myself, it was actually a public holiday, but what I have seen is on Fridays, usually in the afternoons, in the evenings, just before the market starts to close, you get this. Either to the upside or to the downside. You get violent price action, nice volatility on a Friday evening here in South Africa. And then on Saturday, after the violent move has happened, on Saturday it does this. because now it's either correcting this move or it's just slowing down. Okay, you get the pump, and on the weekend you get this choppiness, right? Nothing really happens. So 79% of the time you get the big move on the Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday price consolidates 79% of the time. Right, then you can dive deeper. I know there's some technical analysts that say that, you know, you need to take the Friday low and compare it to the Thursday high. I don't know. There's some trading strategies built around it as well. I'm not too interested. I just, you know, I like the trading strategies that I play, and the ones that keeps me successful. I entered my long at 92.320, 92.320, 92.320. Okay, right about this zone. Yeah. And double tap off the 200 MA. Oh, DK, I mean, I don't trade moving averages. So if you have a strategy and you can apply good risk management, by all means, okay? The only reason I don't go through moving averages, like I've explained, is they're not for me. They don't suit my personality. I don't like moving averages. But I'm not saying that they don't work. I think if you combine moving averages with a proper trading strategy, and you know how to apply risk and you know where to take profits, beautiful. You know, you do you at the end of the day. It's just not part of my trading strategy. I struggle with moving averages. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm not saying it doesn't work. Okay, and it's the same way with a lot of people saying, Dewald, why on earth are you talking about Elliott wave theory? It doesn't work. And I'm like, no, I think you meant to say Elliott wave theory works. It just doesn't suit your personality, because Elliott wave theory works, and there are Elliott wave traders, very successful Elliott wave traders around the world. So if you're saying Elliott wave theory is bullshit, then you know, I think you just need to change your words to say that Elliott wave theory is just not for you. Okay, I can't say moving averages are bullshit, because I know that there are successful traders that use moving averages. All I can say is they don't suit my trading style and my personality. Okay. From last 2 months, we are getting into same weekend. Doesn't matter where we are now. Right, Jazz, I'm not sure how to answer that price. Okay, for me, it's about applying my trading strategy at the end of the day. Whether it happens on Fridays, whether it happens on Saturdays. But the one thing, you'll even hear me say this tomorrow in my live stream again, okay? Usually on Fridays, I tell people I'm expecting a big move. So if today was Friday, now in the live stream, I would have told everyone I'm expecting a big move, either to the upside or to the downside. Saturdays, take a break from the chart. Take a damn break from the chart, because Saturdays is very, very boring price action. Saturdays for me are the best days to take a break from the chart, reset your brains, because 79% of the time it's ranging on Saturdays. Right. I don't like to trade when the markets are not open. Okay. It screams manipulation, and yeah, I don't like it to trade on weekends. Okay, trading on a daily basis is noisy, messy, and tiring. I'm starting to switch to monthly chart. Okay, well, yes, then you're gonna if you trade if you're trading on the monthly chart, it means you're gonna trade maybe once every 2 months, once every 3 months. You're gonna put in a trade. Okay, because it moves extremely slowly, right? If you're trading on the 1 hour, 15-minute time frames, maybe you'll get 1 trade a day. Maybe. Sometimes even here on the 1 hour time frame, I get 3 trades a week. That's it. Okay. The smaller you go, I mean 5-minute, 1-minute time frame, you can have up to 5 or 6 trades in a day. But I do recommend that if you are testing out and you're still learning your trading strategy, go on to the smaller time frames, because it just happens a lot quicker there. And if it's not happening quick enough for you, reverse the price action and go on 2 times speed. Okay, you can always, guys, you can reverse your price action, right? Reverse your price action. If you think you have a winning trading strategy, reverse your price action, put it on your favorite time frame. Okay, if you like to trade the monthly, the weekly, whatever the case might be, go reverse the price action, and here you can change the speed in which it plays out. So you can go and test your strategy. Okay, use your long and your short tool. You don't have to put money, you just see, okay, oh, I would have been stopped out. Ooh, I would have made profits there. And you can have a little spreadsheet, and you can say, okay, out of the 100 trades that I've taken, I have won so many and I've lost so many. This is how much money I've lost, and this is how much money I've made. It's a very interesting exercise, and sometimes something that you have to do if you want to become successful in trading. Okay, a lot of people don't do it, right? They just want to trade and make money, but they don't want to put in the work. Right, looks like Solana is breaking a trend line. Do you guys want to look at a couple of alts? I saw here, you know, we spoke about ETH here yesterday, rejecting here by the trend. I told everyone, you know, yesterday, ETH is hitting resistance, and okay, that's exactly now where it's getting rejected. We do have a mini little order block over there. That's very interesting above the highs. Okay, we do have an order block over there. I wouldn't be surprised for ETH to get a bounce. Okay, maybe try again. That's a little bit of a long trade over there. Maybe there's a break of a trend that you can get into. Let's look at Sol. You're saying Sol is breaking trend. Let's go and have a look at Sol. Why do I not have USDT? Oh, there we go. I was like, why do I not have it in my list? I should have it because I used to day trade Solana like a crazy person. Okay, let's go here on the 15-minute. You must probably talking about like a little bit of a local trend that it's breaking over here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's not my favorite trend. Okay, I can see it's breaking this trend. Yes, it's breaking this trend. I like this one more. I like that one more. Okay, because you have this massive resistance over here. So it could reject by the trend, which is resistance as well. Okay, and then fall back down. So I would only trust the breakout once it breaks this trend. For me, that's my trading style. Okay, if you want to get in and out, by all means, right? It's a little bit of a steep trend over here. It's a little bit steep for me. Okay, especially 15 minutes is usually the smallest time frame that I will play trend breakouts on some of my favorite altcoins. If you want to catch the breakout before the breakout, by all means, but this automatically becomes a profit taking area. So you successfully play the breakout, your stop goes below the low or below this low, right? And this automatically becomes a TP1 area because you could reject at this trend. Remember, you can reject and fall back down. So this becomes a TP1 area. And if you successfully break out and you retest the trends, then you can load up again, okay, for continuation. I do often speak about, you know, if you want to catch the breakout before the breakout, that's usually a good zone because now you could have a better entry before this breakout happens, but this also becomes a rejection zone because here you are longing into resistance. Look at let me do this, okay? My pen is not playing ball, right? Let's do this. You have obvious resistance over here, massive resistance. Look at this. Support, resistance, support, you lost it, you retested it. So, right, this is most probably the best entry for the breakout, but remember, this becomes a profit-taking zone. Okay, definitely a profit, because you could have a fake out and it just rolls back down. Right, USDT found support at the support that we have identified yesterday. Beautiful support, bouncing at the moment, right? So maybe it's going to come back up here to resistance. And we all know, okay, if USDT dominance is going to climb here back to the upside, retest the scene of the crime, it's going to be bad for crypto. You're going to see Bitcoin pulling back. You're going to see ETH and your favorite altcoins also pulling back, especially if USDT dominance keeps on climbing here to the upside. What you would like to see is to lose this area. That would be great. Technically, we made a lower low. That's great. We made a lower low, but it's still a double bottom, which is the bullish, right? Because you could come back up, retest the trend, right? And, right, legends. That is basically what I wanted to discuss over here. What are you doing to be worried from the police, Dewald? You know, good question. Right. HBAR also looks like it's breaking out. I did have HBAR here on the list. HBAR looks insane, guys. You know, if you're looking for a bullish structure on an altcoin, go look at HBAR. It is insane. HBAR looks really good. Right. I do have HBAR in my portfolio, a small little bag, but I ain't buying at these levels. There's just no ways I'm buying at these levels. Okay, so let's go 15-minute time frame. I like that it's curling over, you know, just looking at the structure over here. I like this low. Okay, you make a low and you make a slightly lower low, so you can see the structure. Okay, the selling pressure is getting exhausted. I like to see that. Okay, this is your most obvious trend. It's nibbling, but it's not breaking out yet. I want to see a 15-minute candle close above that trend. Unless you have your trend from here. Then you could argue, okay, it's breaking out, but I would like to see a 15-minute candle above this trend. Right? If you close a 15-minute candle above this trend, close the body of the candle above the trend, I will say, okay, it has a chance. But as long as it's rejecting here and it's leaving wicks behind, I don't trust it. Okay, unless you have your trend over here and you are speculating on the breakout. Okay, unless you have your trend there. Then you could say, okay, well, it already had the retest, right? But then this is not a zone where I would enter. This is not a zone where I would enter. You should already be in either at the retest or the breakout. You should have an entry lower down. Also, where's your stop loss? Is your stop loss below this week or below this week over here? So it has a chance, but just keep in mind this trend. Okay, this trend is going to show you weakness or strength. You can see how well it's respecting this trend. If you close the body of a 15-minute, preferably a 1-hour candle above this little trend over here, it could be game on. Definitely game on. If you're already in because you played the retest in the breakout, okay, maybe you want to protect your position and just put your stop loss here below the lows. Right. Cool, legends. That is basically what I wanted to discuss today. Remember, guys, the links for the exchanges that I use is always down in the description. If you want to join our Legends Pro community where we share, myself and Andy, okay, Andy has a section, I have a section where we drop screenshots and video updates, the long entries and the shorts that we want to take for the day. We've got Matt here. We've got Dylan. He's an absolute altcoin monster, this guy. I mean, okay, you know, he's going to the gym now at the moment, but he was looking at ZRO, he's looking at BTC, he is looking at Audi, right? He also goes to USDT dominance. Here they were looking at an ETH trade, right? Then we've got our Bitcoin setups over here. Okay, we've got altcoin setups also, you know, all the P&Ls. People are absolutely roping in profits over here. I just want to see what people are doing here with the money shots. What are people up to here with the money shots? Just want to make sure that people are taking profits. I mean, people are roping in the profits, right? Very, very well done, legends. Very well done. Okay, often the people share their losses as well, but I'm not seeing any losses at the moment. So the legends are really doing well at the moment. Anyways, guys, here is the link for the pro community. There's also a free section. Here's the links for the exchanges. Cost you nothing extra, where you qualify for the biggest sign-up bonuses and lowest trading fees. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Until the next one, just for now.